know, it's hard to describe, man. You know, now that I can talk, it's hard to say it. But yeah, just fear of, not necessarily fear of failure, but um, sabotaging like my own success. You know what I mean? It's like I'm pretty good at that. I'm that guy that everything's going perfect, and you know, I climb the ladder of success, but then I slowly, you know, sabotage my own success. Um, Comes from, you know, childhood issues, right? That I have to
Yeah.
let go of.
That makes a lot of sense, Bill. And I'm mindful that we've got about 30 minutes, and a pattern like self-sabotage, in my experience, often takes a good bit of digging and exploration, and there's a lot of different facets of it. One thing that you shared earlier is I can't trust myself. And that would be a good example of something that we could choose to take a look at together.
Okay.
Um, does that feel okay with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Beautiful. All right. So let's anchor into some nonsense first, right? We're going to take it from the top. And Bill, if you're not speaking, just for the quality of the recording, I'd request that you stay on mute and just unmute when you would like to speak. Cool. So let's try speaking out loud. I can't speak English. Nothing there, right? And you can unmute for this. not to, henpeck you. What happens if you say, I am wiggle waggle woo?
I am wiggle waggle woo. No feeling.
I can't trust green doors.
I can't trust green doors.
Nada. And what about I can't trust myself?
I can't trust myself.
And what do you notice?
A little burning sensation on my chest.
Yeah. And is there anything else beyond that burning sensation in the chest?
Throat got dry.
Dry throat. Good. Yeah. That's exactly what we're looking for, is physiological senses in the body. And so, the first question is, do you think that it's true that you're actually fundamentally incapable of trusting yourself?
No. I know I could trust myself.
Good.
It's just them voices that won't leave me alone, that keep talking, man. Don't tell my boss that. Make him.
I hear you. I have those voices. I have my entire life. I know what you mean. And I think everyone here does. There's no judgment, brother. So, the real question is there any part of you that might not be fully ready to let that go for any reason? The thing of, I can't trust myself.
If there is, I'm willing to bury it, man. At this stage in my life, I gotta shut this down. I can't look at the past anymore. You know what I mean? I gotta let it go.
I respect your passion, your enthusiasm, but what's really important, Bill, is that you honestly inquire within yourself and give some space. If there is a part of you that wants to hold on to it, allow it to speak. If there is, there might not be. So the question is, again, ask yourself, is there any part of me, for any reason, that's not ready to let this go? I can't trust myself.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready to let it go.
Beautiful. If a part ever were to come up, I'll hold space for it. It's all good. So, I would imagine that there's some things that have happened in your life. You've made some choices that you ultimately wish that you didn't. Some patterns of behavior. For me, it boiled down to addiction to cannabis, addiction to alcohol, addiction to pornography. These were the sources of I can't trust myself. and then violating promises and agreements that I made in romantic relationships with women that I really loved and cared for. And so you don't have to go into any level of detail that you don't feel completely comfortable with. But do you have a sense of what might be some of the earliest experience that showed you I can't trust myself?
First of all, I qualify for everything you just shared. So I qualify for all those. I'm with you 100%. Divorce, right? And all of the above. Um, yeah, when I was 3 years old, man, my mom left to the States and she never said goodbye. You know what I mean? One day she was there, the next day she was gone. And like, the people that I stayed with were my uncles and my grandmother. They would constantly tell me that the reason she left was because I was a bad kid. You know, it's the reason why my dad wasn't around. So it's like I felt like I was almost programmed, you know what I mean? Damaged goods showing up because at that age of 3, constantly hearing, yeah, that's why your mom left. That's why nobody loves you. That's why. And, so then my grandma becomes that world, right? Well, when I was turned 8 years old, my grandmother takes me to the States. And now I'm living with my mom, who's a total stranger. And grandmother leaves. So those issues of abandonment, because from 3 to 5, my mother's gone, Then at 8, grandmother's gone. And it's like that identity is like looking for it. They have
Yeah.
different last name. And it was just, it wasn't fun.
Bill, I really, really appreciate you sharing these experiences, and they're very important experiences. And I want to make sure that our attention is focused on the sense of I can't trust myself. And for you, does that feel related? Does that feel like those early messages of being 3 years old and telling and hearing from adults that you're the reason why mom left? Does that feel related to I can't trust myself?
You know what? When I look at it that way, no, it shouldn't relate to it because I didn't do anything.
And look around in those memories that you have. Do you actually see anywhere in the picture I can't trust myself?
I don't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't see it. There's no reason why I shouldn't trust myself. I mean, I was an infant.
Yeah, you were just a sweet innocent toddler. And so let's take that foundation and carry that same concept forward. Is it true that in your romantic relationships that you made choices,
Absolutely.
and some of
Absolutely.
those choices we came to regret, and we had some feelings about the choices that we made at different points, right? I'm curious, Bill, did you ever at any point like resolve to make different choices too?
I tried, I think.
Yeah.
I would act as if I could, but subconsciously it was like once they find out, that message that was given at an early age, they're going to leave anyway. So it's like, I don't know.
I hear that. I feel that. And I can relate to that. And if you have a sincere intention to show up in a certain way and to show up differently, and you don't necessarily follow through 100% accurate, does that have to mean that you can't trust yourself for the rest of your life?
No, it does not.
And when you look through those relationships, did you see I can't trust myself? Or did you see yourself behaving and your partner's reactions to how you behaved?
Yeah, I saw the reactions, but I didn't actually see I can't trust myself in that moment.
And so now, Bill, I invite you to just look back through any experience, any memory that could be tied to I can't trust myself. And did you actually see it? Or did you see yourself behaving, things happening, people reacting?
You know what? As I look back, I know that I've always had the right intentions, the right motive.
That's beautiful. And I ask again not to belabor the point, but to just be sure, be thorough. Are you sure? Did you ever see I can't trust myself at any point in your life?
No, I didn't physically see it. The outcomes could be questionable. However, I didn't physically see it at any point.
Good. Good. And when you say the outcomes could be questionable, what does that mean to you?
Making promises like, I'm not going to drink like that again.
Yep.
2 weeks later, I find myself in the same scenario, or I won't spend that way, or I won't go to this particular place. And then, lo and behold, here we go again.
And have you ever noticed that those events aren't happening now?
Yes,
And have you made a shift in your life since then?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe you.
Absolutely.
100%. And so when you made a promise not to drink, and then a couple of weeks later drank, hey, I've been there. Could that possibly have meant, instead of I can't trust myself, something like back in 2013, I made a promise not to drink to someone and then had a drink 2 years later or 2 weeks later?
Totally.
Yeah. This is the power of it is what it is. It's like, that's true. I did that. Does that mean I can't trust myself? No, it meant, if anything, if I wanted to make up a story, I could make up something like, it meant that I was struggling to regulate my use of alcohol at that time. Doesn't mean I can't trust myself. So the question now becomes, is there any feeling or sensation in your body, and just really feel into it, any feeling or sensation in the body that's still tied to I can't trust myself?
No, not really. I actually feel kind of like when we first started and I said those gibberish words. And I think it's your tonality and the way you described it. You just like diffused everything. So I'm not feeling that anymore.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. It's like,
That's crazy.
that's how simple it can be.
That's crazy.
So some beliefs they just have visual roots. And when you process the belief visually and you bring some love and compassion back to your past self and say, hey, man, in truth, this didn't mean that I can't trust myself. This didn't mean that I'm not important. This didn't mean that I'm not capable. It was what it was. There it goes. It's so beautiful. It's beyond words. But I want to be double, triple sure, Bill. What happens when you speak the words out loud? Because that's the sense test. So let's be thorough. Go ahead and say out loud, I can't trust myself.
I can't trust myself. I can't trust myself. I'm not feeling it, man. I don't feel that burning sensation anymore, man. I can't trust myself. Of course you can, Bill. You got this.
I love that for you, man. Oh,
Thank
so
you,
great.
bro.
Thank you. Truly an honor. Truly an honor.